Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the English news from Djibouti channels. Here are the headlines of our edition tonight. The main titles are on national event, strong Japanese delegations received by the Prime Minister and the Minister of Defense. On continental news, Donald Trump promised to hit the Taliban as strong as ever. Welcome if you join us. Strong Japanese delegations on a working visit to Djibouti. The Prime Minister, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, received this large Japanese delegation led by Mr. Yasunori Nishida, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Minister of Defense of Japanese. This courtesy visit was attended by the advisor to Prime Minister, Mr. Ali Silai, Japanese ambassador to Djibouti, Koji Yonitani, while the Japanese delegation included, in addition to Deputy Minister Nishida, the defense attaché CDRT Takayuki Kubo, the commander of the Japanese base, Colonel Manubo Ozawa, the second secretary in charge of the political and cultural section, Mr. Soya Otani. The meeting between the two men focused on bilateral cooperation between the two countries and on the stability of peace in the region, which is crucial for Japanese interests. The Vice President mentioned the fruitful discussions between President Ismail Omar Guelleh and Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe at the Tokyo International Conference on African Development (TIGAD) last August. The Prime Minister thanked the Japanese Deputy Minister of Defense for his visit and said he was honored to share with the Deputy Minister the same vision of stability and peace in the existence of Japanese military base in Djibouti. Also, this meeting, the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with the Parliament, Mr. Hassan Omar Mohammed, received in his office the same Japanese delegation led by the Deputy Minister of Defense in charge of international affairs. The meeting focused on bilateral relations, particularly in the field of defense. The discussion focused on the state of relation between our two forces, in particular regarding support for the Japanese self-defense forces in their activities in Djibouti. Then both sides discussed the security context prevailing in the region and the different areas of cooperation between the two countries, particularly with regards to EDF capacity building. On this occasion, the Minister of Defense, Mr. Hassan Omar Mohammed, welcomed the privileged relation between Djibouti and Japan. The Minister expressed his desire to strengthen a relation between the two countries. The Prime Minister, Mr. Abdulqadir Kamil Mohammed, received also the ambassador of Egypt, Mr. Ahmed Adil Subaihi, the ambassador farewell to the Prime Minister, who on this occasion decorated him on behalf of the President of the Republic as an officer of the National Order of 27 June. The Minister of Transport and Equipment, Mr. Musa Muhammad Ahmed, attended the farewell visit. The Prime Minister extended his warm congratulations to the lucky reception for his activity involved in further consolidating bilateral cooperation between the two countries during his 3 years mission to Djibouti as ambassador. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Mr. Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, was received in audience today by the President of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, the head of Djibouti's diplomacy, carried a message from the President of Djibouti, Mr. Ismail Omar Guelleh, the President of Djibouti, to his Egyptian counterpart. Bilateral relation, the strategic partnership, security in the Horn of Africa and the Red Sea were the subject of the constructive exchange. In addition, support of Djibouti candidacy for the United Nations Security Council for the period 2021-2022 was discussed at length during the interviews. The Minister of Health, Mr. Mohamed Wassamadiria, received the new French ambassador, Mr. Arnaud, He was accompanied by the director of the EFD, Mr. Philippe, as part of a courtesy visit. After welcoming the new French ambassador to Djibouti, the Minister of Health outlined the secular and historical links that relate to this privileged partnership between Djibouti and France. The Minister Mohamed Warsame Diria and the Ambassador Gilwa also exchanged views on several subjects of common interest, in particular on ways and means of strengthening health cooperation between our two sister nations. The two parties also discussed the ways and means of collaboration to enhance hospital technical platform and strengthen the skills of our specialist doctor through the mechanism of inter-hospital training and exchange of experience. The ambassador of France reaffirmed his courtesy's firm commitment to support the Djibouti government's efforts to meet the challenge of universal health coverage in Djibouti. The Minister of Budget, Mr. Abdul Karim Adam, received this morning an Italian delegation led by the police Colonel Abdullahi Abdi. The discussion during this meeting were related to the anti-terrorism program, in particular a project to set up a forcing laboratory and border control post with the contribution of customs. The chief of staff, the directors, as well as the director of tax were present at this meeting. The Minister of Labor, in collaboration with the Arab organization, organized a 3-day training course for the disabled on health, safety at work, and collective bargaining a labor dispute. The objective of this workshop was to share the experience of expert and the occupational health and safety model during the third and last day of training, which will be an opportunity to take stock of these vast fields. This training on health and safety is the beginning of a long process of sharing reflections and diagnosis, self-evaluation framework, as well as transformation and action that will eventually lead to the educational for a strategy nourished by the work of national and international experts and a solid model, efficient, pragmatic, and in accordance with the national realities. In his intervention, the Director of Labor at the Ministry of Labor in charge of the administration reform, Mr. Mohammed Abdullah Omar, stressed the importance of these training courses for the benefit of labor inspectors at the National Social Security Fund. The new prefect of Arta, Mr. Mohammed Sheikh Hassan, took office during a handover ceremony presided by the Secretary General of the Ministry of Interior, Mr. Siraj Umar, this morning at the prefecture of Arta. The Arta region organized a popular reception for the arrival of the new prefect, Mohammed Sheikh Hassan. The administrative officials, elected official and notable, welcomed the new arrival at the prefecture. The new prefecture, Mr. Of the different administrations. After shaking hand, he signed with the former prefecture of Arta, Abdullah Darar Okiye, a registration to take his new office in Arta. A ceremony marking the inauguration of the recently renovated infrastructure took place this morning at the military base of the Rapid Reaction Force located in Arta, presided by the General of the Army, Shikaria Sheikh Ibrahim. The ceremony brought together many military and civilian personality notable, as well as the deputy prefect of the Arta. As soon as General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim arrived, accompanied by General Hassan Ali Kamil, he visited the site and he cut the ribbons of the various infrastructure of the military camp recently renovated by the soldier and for the soldier of the regiment. The wall fence and the troop rooms and the military cadre, many infrastructure were renovated by the regiment corps. During a short speech, the general of the army expressed his congratulation and he's delighted to all those who contribute to this new construction and renovated platform, and his expectation of the by the general ceremony has ended with the traditional sings and dance. The Djibouti National Communication Commission has just increased the number of countries that make up ReFrame to 30. This is the Francophonie network of media regulator. The event took places on 6 and 7 September this month during the network in the biannual Congress held in Tunis. A CNC delegation led by the President, Mrs. Ulufa Ismail, and include in particular the Vice President, Mr. Ali Mohammed Dimbio, and the Commissioner in charge of Legal Affairs, Mrs. Suad Hussein, had come to defend the issues of our country's accessions to this body. The members of ReFrame unanimously validated Djibouti's membership of the network after hearing the presentations of the president of the CNC, Mrs. Hulufa, who came to defend her candidacy. It should be noted that the Djibouti delegation took the opportunity of the Tunis Forum to learn the experience of high regulatory authorities of other countries such as Moroccan HACA and the French CSA. The delegations then went to the headquarters of the Tunisian High Regulatory Authorities HACA of working meeting on media regulations during the elections period. The Djibouti delegation is currently in Karlsruhe, Germany, through exchange and partnership with the authorities of the municipality of that city. After participating in Hanover at the 4th National Conference on Communal Partnership with Africa, Mr. Mohammed Yaqub and Dr. Aisha Abdullahi at the University of Djibouti were joined by the ambassador of Djibouti to Germany to discuss the many challenges currently faced by municipality in the field of transport and mobility in particular. And now let's move on continental news, where the Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's promised to annex the strategic sections of occupied West Bank made on Tuesday, September, in an attempt to seduce his high-wing electoral was not to everyone's taste. The Palestinian who perceived this project a desire to destroy any chance of peace. This is a flagrant violation of international law and is flagrant them thieves of land. It's cleansing, reacted Hani, an official of the Palestine Liberation Organization. Here we arrive at the end of this news edition. Thank you for watching us. Goodbye.